Little Johnny was seated next to a stranger on a plane. The stranger turned to him and said, "Let's talk. I've heard that flights will go quicker if you strike up a conversation with your fellow passenger." Little Johnny, who had just opened his book, closed it slowly and asked the stranger, "What would you like to discuss?" "Oh, I don't know," answered the stranger. "How about nuclear power?" "That could be an interesting topic," replied Johnny, "but let me ask you a question first. A horse, a cow, and a deer all eat grass, yet a deer excretes little pellets, while a cow turns out a flat patty and a horse produces clumps of dried grass. Why do you suppose that is?" "Geez," said the stranger, "I have no idea." "Well then," said Little Johnny, "how is it that you feel qualified to discuss nuclear power when you don't know shit?" The coach grimaced as he watched his young ice hockey team. At one point during the game, he called one of his 7-year-old players aside and asked, "Do you understand what cooperation is?" The little boy nodded affirmatively. "Do you understand that what matters is not whether we win or lose, but how we play together as a team?" The little boy nodded once more. "So," the coach continued, "I'm sure you know that when a penalty is called, you shouldn't argue, attack the referee, or call him a peckerhead. Do you understand all that?" Again, the little boy nodded. He continued, "And when I call you off the ice so that another boy gets a chance to play, it's not good sportsmanship to call your coach a dumb loser, is it?" The little boy nodded yet again. "Good," said the coach. "Now go over there and explain all of that to your father." Two married buddies are out drinking one night when one turns to the other and says, "You know, I don't know what else to do. Whenever I go home after we've been out drinking, I turn the headlights off before I get to the driveway. I shut off the engine and coast into the garage. I take my shoes off before I go into the house. I sneak up the stairs. I get undressed in the bathroom. I ease into bed. Yet my wife still wakes up and yells at me for staying out so late." His buddy looks at him and says, "Well, you're obviously taking the wrong approach." I screech into the driveway, slam the door, I storm up the steps, throw my shoes into the closet. I then jump into bed, slap her on the butt, and say, "Are you as horny as I am?" And she always acts like she's sound asleep. A dinner speaker was in a hurry to get to his engagement. When he arrived and sat down at the head table, he suddenly realized that he had forgotten his false teeth. Turning to the man next to him, he whispered, "I forgot my teeth." The man said, "No problem." With that, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a pair of false teeth. "Try these," he said. The speaker tried them. "Thanks, but they're too loose," he said. The man then said, "I have another pair. Try these." The speaker tried them and responded, "Too tight." The man was not taken back at all. He then said, "I have one more pair of false teeth. Try these." This time, the speaker said, "They fit perfectly." With that, he ate his meal, then delivered his address to the crowd. After the dinner meeting was over, the speaker went over to thank the man who had helped him. "I want to thank you for coming to my aid. Where is your office? I've been looking for a good dentist." The man replied, "I'm not a dentist. I'm a mortician." On reaching his plane seat, an old businessman is surprised to see a parrot strapped into the seat next to him. The old man asks the stewardess for a cup of coffee, and the parrot squawks, "And why don't you get me a whiskey, you bitch?" The stewardess, flustered by the parrot's outburst, brings back a whiskey for the parrot, but inadvertently forgets the man's cup of coffee. As the old man nicely points out the omission of his coffee to the stewardess, the parrot downs his drink and shouts, "And get me another whiskey, you slut!" Visibly shaken, the stewardess comes back with the parrot's whiskey, but still no coffee for the old man. Unaccustomed to such slackness, the old man decides that he is going to try the parrot's approach. "I've asked you twice for a cup of coffee, wench. I expect you to get it for me right now, or I'm going to slap that disgustingly ugly face of yours." Next thing they know, both the old man and the parrot are wrenched up and thrown out of the emergency exit by two burly stewards. Plunging downwards to the ground, the parrot turns to the man and says, "For someone who can't fly, you sure are a lippy bastard." A man was walking along a California beach and stumbled upon an old lamp. He picked it up, then rubbed it, and out popped a genie. The genie said, Okay, you release me from the lamp, blah, blah, blah. This is the 4th time this month, and I'm getting a little sick of these wishes. So you can forget about 3, you only get 1 wish." The man sat and thought about it for a while. Then he said, "I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but I'm scared to fly and I get very seasick. Could you build me a bridge to Hawaii so I can drive over there to visit?" The genie laughed and said, "That's impossible. Think of the logistics of that. How would the supports ever reach the bottom of the Pacific? Think of how much concrete and steel. No, think of another wish." The man agreed and tried to think of a really good wish. Finally, he said, "I've been married and divorced 4 times. My wives always said that I don't care and that I'm insensitive. So, I wish that I could understand women, know how they feel inside and what they're thinking when they give me the silent treatment. Know why they're crying. Know what they really want when they say nothing. Know how to make them truly happy." The genie then replied, "You want that bridge with 2 lanes or 4? Guy hears about a prostitute at a local motel, so he goes and knocks on the door. A voice answers, asking what he wants. Guy said, "I want to get fucked." Voice said, "Sure, slide $20 under the door." The guy slides it under, stands, and waits. After a few minutes pass and the door still hasn't opened, he knocks again. Guy said, "I said, I'm here to get fucked." Voice said, "What again?" A young couple were on their honeymoon and were staying at a hotel with a large swimming pool. They decided to go for a swim, and the bride donned a new bikini that she had recently purchased. As she swam and splashed around in the pool, she soon discovered that the bikini was too large, and the top and bottom kept coming off. As they were the only ones in the pool, she and her husband would laugh and playfully retrieve the bikini from the pool's bottom. That evening, they dressed for dinner and headed to their hotel's elegant restaurant, where they were seated next to a huge aquarium. Strangely, the aquarium was devoid of any aquatic life. When the bride asked their waiter why the aquarium had no fish in it, he smiled broadly and said, "That's not an aquarium. That's the swimming pool." My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.